Hello, everyone. It is me, Danielle J. Mitchell, your up and coming queen of real estate, and I'm here for another episode of Tuesday Tip at 2. Hello, it is me, Danielle J. Mitchell, the up and coming queen of real estate, and I'm here for today's and this week's Tuesday Tip at 2. Listen, in case you forgot, I service the Philadelphia and the surrounding suburbs, which include Montgomery County and Delaware County. And I'm a PA licensed realtor. So listen, if you are interested in getting services, buying, selling, anything like that, and you're in the neighborhood, I am the realtor for you. Now, you know what I'm gonna ask you guys to do is I need you to like, I need you to subscribe, I need you to do all of the things before we get into today's episodes. Make sure to share, make sure to comment. I talk about the algorithm all the time. It be algorithming. And so I need you to do all of the things. So I am continuing in this series of what to look for. And we are going to continue in this series talking about what to look for when buying a house. Now, I've touched on this a little bit in some other videos, especially if you are one who's been around for a while, looking at my videos or soaking up my content. I've touched on kind of what to look for in buying a house here and there in different various ways. But today I wanted to be very specific. I like to break things all the way down. So when we're talking about what to look for when buying a house, this is an angle coming from the perspective of what are your deal breakers with the list that you're making, all that good stuff. So we're going to jump right on into it. Let's jump into some of these questions and things you want to consider when really understanding what to look for in a house. Sometimes people come out the gate knowing exactly what they want. They've seen all the HGTV. They've seen enough houses online. They soaked up enough in a house to know exactly what they want. But for those of you who are maybe a little bit more indecisive, or even if you're kind of battling between some things, I want to help you narrow down some of the important takeaways, that you want to consider when going about how do I even know what I want, and then also how knowing what you want will help you determine what kind of house you want to get in. So I'm going to start it out with number 1. This has to be at the top. And some lists, some other videos might start out with something else, but I'm going to start it out with this very important and crucial number 1, budget. Budget. Why? Why am I starting out with budget? Because budget is going to determine everything. Budget is going to determine everything. Okay. So if you have to start from budget, and I'm not even going to say that 1A, I have a number 1, but if I had to make a number 1A, I'm going to say location. Those two factors are so important. Why, you might ask? Knowing how much your pre-approval is very crucial to understanding where you can live. So knowing your budget coincides with where you want to live, right? A lender is going to ask you, hey, where are you trying to live, right? Why are they asking you that? Because taxes for different counties, for different, even different areas within the county are different. So when they're determining your pre-approval, which those taxes are something you're going to be paying monthly with your mortgage, you're paying your principal, you're paying your interest, and you're paying your taxes, right? And your home insurance. And so your principal and your interest, they're not going to change, right? They're going to stay the same throughout the duration of your loan, unless, of course, you refinance. But what's going to fluctuate is your taxes, because taxes fluctuate. Mostly they go up. If they're going down, I'm scared, but they generally go up, right? And your insurance, of course, will change just like car insurance, if your premium changes, something like that, you can always shop for something different, right? But those are the things that's going to change within your monthly mortgage payment. So when you're getting pre-approved, what that is what the lender is taking into account. They're taking into account the taxes to make sure that you're able to afford the area that you're trying to live in, right? You can live in one area and be able to afford 200,000, right? And then you can change that location and then be able to afford 150. And guess what? If they don't even sell houses in that area, if houses don't even go for 150,000, then you can't afford that area. So this is why budget and location are very important, and they go hand in hand. So having some backup locations just in case you cannot afford that area, or it's just, you'll be priced out of it, or you may be able to afford that area, but you have to make sure that you're sticking to houses with lower taxes, right? Because there are some areas I've seen where the taxes are 7 and 10,000, and then in that same area around the corner on this other side of the block, it could go at 5 and 6,000 a year, right? And so you want to make sure you understand location and budget do go hand in hand. So it's important to have a firm understanding on the location you want to be at, as well as what your budget is as it pertains to that location. Because taxes, they make the difference. They affect your debt to income ratio and therefore your affordability. So now that those concrete things are out of the way, okay, we have to get into kind of more of the fun stuff, right? So number 2, what kind of lifestyle you want? What kind of lifestyle you want? What really are you looking for? So when you're considering the bedrooms, when you're considering the bathrooms, are you a person that likes to travel half of the year? Are you a person that is a workaholic and you're never even going to be in your house, right? And when you come home to your house, what do you want it to look like? And what do you want it to feel like when you come home? Do you use public transportation? Do you need to be near trains? Do you like to walk a lot? Do you want to be in an area where it's very walkable, right? Or do you want to have, 5 miles between a house? Those are things that you really want to consider. Do you like to even host parties or family gatherings and things of that nature, right? Do you host a lot of family, a lot of guests like that stay overnight? So you want to make sure that you have enough bedrooms or even just another living space where it can be kind of a multi-purpose area, right? You want to consider the storage. You want to consider stairs if you have bad knees, right? And that's whether if you're older or younger. You want to consider that. You want to consider the privacy, and really the efficiency, right, of a house. So you want to make sure that it's insulated. You want to make sure that the windows are more up to date. Of course, if you get a larger house, the utilities are going to cost more money. If you get something more cozy, right, as they call it, it's going to be a bit less in utilities. So those are things that you want to consider. Number 3, you want to consider the yard, the outdoor space, right? Some people love homes and are attracted to homes that have outdoor space, right? And not just any outdoor space. Depending on where you're looking, some people really jazz up their outdoor space, right? Really make it an extension of the home. So those are things you want to consider too, right? Now, of course, if a outdoor space is not as jazzed up as you would prefer it to be and it's like the only house on the market and it checks all the boxes, but it's just the outdoor space, of course you always want to consider the fact that you can turn that space into what you want it to be, right? As long as the room is there for you to be able to do it, right? And as long as it makes sense as far as budget wise. Along with that, you want to consider if that yard space or if the house is more private or if it's on a main street. Do you even have a preference for either of those things as well? Number 4, the neighborhood. Again, the neighborhood, we talked about location, but what consists of that, right? If you have children or plan to have children, the schools. That's a huge thing, right? So many people move based on schools, based on school districts, right? So that's a huge important thing that you want to consider. If that's important to you, consider the amenities, right? The libraries, the parks, the pools. I'm very thankful that one of the amenities that I have is that there is a park literally right across from me. And in that park is a pool. I love it. It's like having a pool in your backyard, right? Of course, I pay what I need to pay for the family to be able to use it in the summertime, but I love it to be able to literally walk across the street when I feel like it to go utilize a pool. That's important to me, and I don't have to have one in my backyard. Or you want to consider pet friendliness if you're into pets and things of that nature. Check on the rules and regulations as it pertains to that. And again, like I said before, you want to check on the walkability, right? If walking around is important to you, fantastic. You don't want to be moving into a place where the houses and everything is so far away and you don't have a vehicle, right? So you maybe need that area where public transportation is closer and where you can walk around. Okay. Number 5, be realistic about home repairs. And I've talked about this plenty of times before, but be realistic about it. When you're considering a house, what are you willing to do? What projects are you willing to take on? And again, all of these things go back to budget, right? All of these things go back to budget because guess what? Some things you're going to have to compromise a little bit more on in order to be able to find the things within your budget. That's why budget is number one because all these things are going to impact how you choose based on your budget, right? So, you may have a budget that's a great budget, that's more than enough budget, right? So, but you're like, hey, I just don't want to pay this much for a house. I rather take, not max out my budget or something like that and just do some small projects myself. Hey, I'm fine with not a finished basement. If it has everything else, fantastic. I'll go ahead and, just finish the basement myself, right? And I can keep some money in my pocket and just go ahead and finish it out, right? If you're a homeowner and you're just looking for a house, a residential sale, then yeah, you want a decent roof, right? You want the electrical to be okay. You want, some of those basic things where making sure that it's safe, the more costly things, you want it to be fine. And even if you're okay with, hey, I'm fine with a kitchen not being the best, I just need the bathrooms to be fine, or vice versa. If the kitchen is not, or if the bathrooms are not the best but the kitchen is done, I'm fine with doing a bathroom project. Okay, so those are the things that you want to consider as well. Number 6, you want to separate needs from wants. I always tell my buyers, especially first time home buyers, write down your deal breakers. That's the bottom line, right? We need the deal breakers, the just no, I just don't want this, or I just can't have that. There are just some things that you're going to want to have and that are absolutely positively important. So that's why I say don't lead with all the wants. Lead with the deal breakers. Lead with those things where it's just like, I'm just not going to see a house that's not this. And again, all of this is relative to your budget. So there may be some things that I said here today that you're going to have to tweak, that you're going to have to adjust based on what your budget is, right? If your wants and needs are, of the $750,000 persuasion and your budget is 350, right? Or 400, then we gotta scale, we gotta tweak some things, right? We gotta understand that, hey, what can I get? How can I maximize this budget that I have? How can I get most of what I need and want within the budget that I've been given, right? So it's very important to start with the budget and then work your way down, right? work your way through the different things that you're looking for, those needs, the school district, all of those different things. I've worked with buyers, and we came to the realization that some areas, hey, you just can't be in this area, or hey, you can be in this area, but this is the tip top. You got to work with this taxes, these taxes. No, hey, why can't we see this house? Because the taxes on this, yeah, I know it's like only 5 blocks away, but the taxes on this house is way too high, and it's going to push you out of your affordability, right? It's going to push you out of your affordability range. So we're going to work within what these taxes are. As long as it's X taxes and less, you're good to go. If it's beyond that, no, you can't afford that house, right? You can't afford that house. The takeaway here is that it's very difficult to find a property that meets every criteria, right? That's why I say focus on the deal breakers, focus on the things that you absolutely don't want. Hopefully, if your budget and your desires are reasonable, right, kind of balance out, then you'll fit and you'll get your important must haves, right? You'll get the things that are most important to you. And again, you have to realize you're going into this buying something. That means it's yours. You are the owner. So if you see a property that you really, really love, but it's one thing or two things, know that you have time to make that property. You can't update a location. Like you can't, some things you just can't change. You can't change a location. You can't change your square footage of a house unless you have enough land on it, right? You know, to be able to maybe add something. But there are some things you can't change. But you want to always consider, hey, what in here can I change and what can I feel comfortable taking on where I'm okay with doing it later, whether it's in a few weeks, some months, a couple years, whatever that looks like, I'm okay. I may not have that one thing I wanted right now, but hey, this house is mine. I acquired it, so I can do it at a later date. So if that helped you, if that helped you, like I said before, please comment, please share, please like, please do all the things. Okay. If you are interested in buying, listen, go right down here. Go to book.djmrealtyco.com. Again, book.djmrealtyco.com. And we can solidify what house will be the best for you. I look forward to seeing you again on next week's Tuesday tip at 2. And remember, there's no place like home, no place like home buying. And see you next time. Want this, or I just can't have that. I just can't have it, have not have it.